what they need to answer if they want to reduce or eliminate the property taxes, how are the cities going to fund the services? So one of the things they've talked about is sales tax. And if we increase sales tax versus the property tax, the good thing about the sales tax that I like is that 30% of it is paid by visitors who are here, visiting, contributing to our economy.
There was some talk about getting rid of circle and making it four-step.
I personally would like to see all the traffic lights disappear from a circle and have it function like a good European rotary,
I came to this country when I was 16 years old with zero in my pocket. And from there, I worked myself up. I knew what I wanted. You have to have a vision. And you need to have fire in the belly.
Today we have the pleasure to host Mr. Josh Levy. It's an honor.
Hey, great to be here, Eyal.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for all you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Are you kidding me?
Hey, we're all a part of this project called Life in the City of Hollywood and just,
how does it feel?
South Florida.
How does it feel to be third terms, right?
Yeah, it's the third term serving as mayor. It's a real honor. I grew up here in the city and always wanted to see it, do better. My father was an entrepreneur in the car business and would always point, oh, wow, imagine this could be done over here and that could be done. And I think it opened up our eyes, myself, my siblings, into, thinking about a city in a next level kind of way, to use your word.
Love it.
And, as you grow and as you mature, you find yourself being involved. And I volunteered on city boards and in the end wanted to run for public office.
What made you decide to run for mayor? It's a big thing.
Look, yeah, sure, it is a big thing. Hollywood is about the 11th largest city out of over 400 cities in the state of Florida. So it's a large city, over 150,000 residents. But, with every year that goes by, a city requires leadership and requires people to recognize its challenges and its opportunities and to step up and help contribute to good decision making that will lead to the city's progress. And so for me, I think what was most critical is, in the coming out of the housing crash of 2008, 2009, and it took a few years to get through it, Hollywood, like many other cities, needed a renaissance in investment, and it needed a renaissance overall. A lot of aging property because the city, actually, we're celebrating 100 years this year.
I love it.
The city centennial. But with age comes stagnation sometimes.
Sure.
And so at the time, I knew the city really needed a big lift, and I knew that I could be someone that had the energy, the drive to take it to the next level.
Love it. So let's talk about a couple of things. Young Circle, it's not the same.
Young Circle, listen, it's been there for 100 years, right?
Right. It's not the same.
Not the same. I think you can see outside and we're taking it next level.
Right. Everywhere I see high rises.
Yeah, and so that was the vision. Actually, the city, before I was elected, the downtown CRA had, put together a downtown master plan, a lot of community engagement as to what we'd want our downtown to be. It needed to be the cultural and economic center for the city. Right. And so we put together this master plan, and one of the things it called for was the highest density development would be surrounding the circle with the arts park as its, beautiful natural centerpiece. And as you can see, over the past few years, we brought that vision to life through a lot of persistent work.
And the park is going to stay?
Of course. Yeah, the park is the centerpiece.
And the circle is going to stay too?
Yes.
There was some talk about getting rid of the circle and making it four-step?
No, there was a plan to... I personally would like to see all the traffic lights disappear from a circle and have it function like a good European rotary. Because it seems to be there's no reason to stop the traffic. The only reason you really need to stop the traffic here is for pedestrians to get to the park. And so we've gone through some different concepts on how we can make the circle flow better. It's owned by the Florida Department of Transportation, DOT. But we do have one, breakthrough concept that's coming up. If we get things done, the state supported it, so does the FDOT financially, and also from a concept, the old Publix across the street. We're planning on bifurcating that property into two properties and exchanging right-of-way with the owner, giving them some and taking away the middle so that we can connect Hollywood Boulevard straight to the east side of Young Circle. And have that connectivity and not have to travel behind that building and what have you. So,
are they going to put another high-rise?
Two
more by the old Publix?
Two. That's the plan.
And parking?
Parking is required, of course, with every project. But you should know, as someone who has an office here where we are, next door, the city it purchased the property next door, and we're building a public parking garage there. Right. And so one of the plans we have is to speak with actually the unit owners here if they want to buy in and have space.
So it's mostly rental communities, not so much condos, right?
Typically, and as you very well know, being in your business, the market has brought specifically and really only for many years apartments. rental apartments. However, the Cirque building across the way is now undergoing a condo conversion.
Is it?
That's 300 plus units, about 400 units.
Right.
And then across the way, Park 1818 might undergo a conversion as well. It's, all these economic factors of the ownership to decide whether or not they want to cash out through a condo conversion.
Agreed. So those high-rises, the rental communities high-rises, they're building, they're making it like it's going to be a condo conversion in terms of the way to build it.
Some of them.
With separate folios sometimes.
Separate water meters.
I think all new construction gets separate water meters. Anyway.
Easily convertible.
Easily, right. Yeah. Tell us about the boardwalk. So there was some talk about extending it past, actually up to Hollywood, up to Diplomat.
So it was an idea of mine.
No idea.
But it was misunderstood. And so we have this amazing broad walk, 2.5 mile pavered walkway along the beautiful coastline. It's actually the broad walk that we have had won the award for one of the 10 best public spaces in America by the American Planning Association some years ago. And it's our number one asset. So I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if the people who lived in South Hollywood Beach and all the way to the Diplomat, including the visitors there, could have a way to connect to this broad walk? Because as mayor, I would go and introduce myself to conventions that would come into town, and I'd say, how did you enjoy your stay in Hollywood? What did you think about our broad walk? The response from some visitors was, what broad walk? They're isolated in the 1,000 amazing, room resort that is the Diplomat. So I thought, what if there was a connection, a beach walk, that would connect the south end of the beach with this
all the way down to Diplomat?
All the way down, all the way to the Hallandale line.
Hallandale, to Hallandale, not Diplomat.
Yeah, beyond the Diplomat to Hallandale, which is basically right there. So people thought, because it was called Broadwalk Extension, they thought it would be the Broadwalk, and they thought it would bring a lot of transient traffic in front of the condos, and everybody said, hold your horses, we don't want it. I backed off, but I still think it would be a pleasure for people who live in South Hollywood Beach to be able to walk along the coast in a compacted or pavered sidewalk, and be able to connect and not have to walk on A1A. So that was the whole idea, is why push people to walk along noisy A1A? Let them have a beautiful natural way to walk. And so there is an opportunity, though, because the county wants to put vegetation, dunes along the beach for resiliency. And if you go to a place like Surfside, they have 2 dunes, and even in Bal Harbor, and you can walk in between or beside one of the dunes with a compacted sand surface. So my hope is that when the county pursues the dunes, which they are, that we'll have an opportunity to have a natural compacted surface to walk on. So people who live south on South Beach,
not necessarily a boardwalk.
Man, it was never going to be a lighted broad walk with people paying selling balloons and stuff. No, that was never going to be. So I wonder your opinion now that you understand it better.
Too much traffic.
Would you want a natural way for
natural?
you?
I don't mind natural. I like the natural. I don't like the commercial type of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Which anyway, would never get be commercial. There was no restaurants, nothing.
It's residential. So
residential. Right,
and people really wouldn't know it unless you lived there.
Right.
Yeah.
And are you excited about the new project across the street from Diplomat?
Yeah, of course. Icon Beach. We're excited. So the Diplomat has what's called an activity center, a local activity center, and we want the Diplomat to stay competitive because, as you know, nothing stands still in the market.
Nothing.
Here we have in Fort Lauderdale, the county building an 800-room Omni Convention Hotel next to the Broward County Convention Center. The Diplomat of course, relies on a lot of group business. Has 1,000 rooms. It's the largest convention hotel in the county. But it also always needs to improve what it offers to compete with new things like Omni.
Always.
So as the mayor, I want to make sure that our number one resort has an opportunity to continue thriving. It needs more rooms. If it does, it'll attract things like the American Bar Association, Medical Association, big conventions that require, say, 1,500 rooms. Right now it's 1,000. Still big, but not big enough to get those guys.
But it's a condo across the street, right?
Condo hotel. So they'll be able to put in
Interesting.
units into the pool. Icon, I think the first tower is just condo.
2 towers?
We approved the second one that would be in between the 2 parking structures.
Right.
And that would be into the pool of the hotel. So it could draw on that, Hilton reservation system.
That Publix across the street, is that...
Another one of things that I loved. I hope you love it. Yeah.
It's
maybe yes, maybe no. You're
maybe
a neighbor.
Yes, maybe no. That's okay. But it's interesting. So definitely the last 20 years, tremendous growth right in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Well, I will say, statistically and from the numbers perspective, it's not a lot of growth from a percentage standpoint. We've been growing at a rate of less than 1% per year,
Right.
which if I were to tell you a city's growing at less than 1% per year, it doesn't sound like it's.
But in terms of construction,
But my point, 150,000 people, 1% is 1,500 people. And how many buildings do you need to house an additional 1,500 people? A lot of multifamily. That's something you talk about a lot. So, yes, from a landscape and a skyline standpoint, there's been a lot of investment. There's been a boom. But from a statistical, level, it hasn't been a lot of new people from a density standpoint. It's just, a new building pops up and it does change the skyline, so people, feel like it's growing a lot. But we're proud of what we've done, especially in downtown Hollywood, to create the lively, entertainment and cultural center for our city. But we're not doing it in isolation. We know that to have successful nucleus for the city, you need a good transportation connectivity. So we have the Broward County commuter rail, a new passenger train stop we've successfully had Hollywood win the first station for.
West of 95?
No, right here on Dixie Highway.
Oh, on Dixie Highway?
Yeah, downtown, where the city had shuffleboard
So
courts.
they're gonna open one?
Yeah, train station, and it's going to be on the same track as the Bright Line. But it'll be a new system that'll first connect with all the stations that are being built in Miami, what they call the...
Not for Bright Line, right?
Bright Line will not stop there. It's more of an express long-distance train. This will be a daily tri-rail type train.
That's right.
But traveling through all the downtowns up and down the coast from Miami all the way to Palm Beach, critical because this is where the density is. This is where people are.
Right.
So it'll be, I think, a lot more important and critical for the future, even more so than tri-rail is, because of where tri-rail is west.
No, when I go down east on Hollywood Boulevard, there's a big hotel, right? Hollywood Resort, Hollywood Beach Resort. Right. Are they going to do anything with that? It's just...
So it's been there for almost 100 years. So the city founder built it. And he built it because he was competing with the Biltmores and the Boca Town Centers of the world, and Fisher and Merrick and Meisner and all those guys from the land boom of the 1920s. Here we are in the 2020s. And obviously the hotel has seen its best days a long time ago.
Absolutely.
Was impacted by World War II and the Great Hurricane of 1926.
100 years?
Yeah. And the story is it was built in 90 days using beach sand. In any case, one of the things that have held it back is that for many, many years, it was divided into hundreds of different ownership interests. Condo owners, timeshare units, people own the different commercial floors. Long story short, the man from Morocco, Joe Chatrit, and his development firm, thankfully, at total risk, started buying unit after unit and owns the entirety of the hotel. But another person owns the parking garage and the land to the west of the hotel. So my mission has been to get them to work together and to bring forward a beautiful plan that can bring that back to be the crown jewel of not only the city, but also Broward County and South Florida. The acreage that exists there on the beach deserves to be world-class and needs to be world-class. Elements of historic preservation, of course, for the sake of honoring the legacy of the building. But it needs to be a whole new, endeavor that will last and be sustainable for the next 100 years. It's for the future, not for yesterday. So we're in the best position we have been, and since the thing was built, to have it be renewed and reinvested in. And so I'm hoping that this year they'll come together and make things happen.
So that one is definitely in the pipeline.
Oh, for sure. Look, I say for sure, but it's privately owned. So until the ownership comes forward, we can only have dreams as a city.
How about the casino in 441?
Yeah, the Hard Rock has been incredible.
Man, incredible.
Yeah, what the Seminole tribe has done, really, I have all the respect for them and their corporate leadership. And they didn't stop here at their reservation. They own Hard Rock International worldwide, and they're building hotels.
So that was a good call.
Oh, amazing. And mind you, they're self-governed over there. I can't take the credit for the Guitar Hotel. That's total sovereign Seminole, reservation. Seminole.
You get some credit.
But what's amazing is we get, they happen to market that brand, Hard Rock. They always put the city name under Hard Rock, whether it's, Honolulu or Hollywood. So yeah, worldwide recognition there with Hard Rock Hollywood.
It's a casino. It's like a Vegas style.
Full high Vegas quality casino. It's amazing.
I do have
and it employs over 5,000 people.
How much? At
over
least
5,000.
What about politics for you? Next level.
Next level.
You're finishing up your third term, right?
Yep. So that'll end in the end of 2028.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
You're a young guy, you're ambitious.
You look a lot younger than I am. Turned 50 this year.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. But look, everything is possible. It'll depend on what's available, what seats are open or not. I always believe that if someone's doing a good job in a seat, I don't have an ambition to.
Are you more right or more left or in the middle?
I'm a centrist.
You're centrist.
Yeah,
The best.
Yeah, I'm a center kind of guy.
The best. The best.
Yeah.
It's tough to be centrist because
It is tough because sometimes you don't feel at home in any part of the.
Not to mention it's a thankless job, okay? Because it can't please everybody.
Well, the beautiful part is that what I like about city government is it's nonpartisan.
Right.
You don't run with a political party affiliation, so you can, stay away from all the different, the political pull. You can just focus on the work.
What do you think about President Trump?
I support every president that we've had. It doesn't matter which party, because if the president's not successful, the party's not successful. So I want success and the initiatives to move the country forward, no matter who the president is.
Right.
I think he has a lot of good intentions on wanting to see the economy boom, to correct, maybe have obviously a very big shift in international trade policy that he's embarking on with, like he does it.
He went ham. He went ham.
He went hard. He goes hard.
Yeah.
And so, yes, that's obviously causing a lot of drama for the stock market.
If it works, okay, that'd be good.
If he can realign the global trading system to America's benefit, then all of us who are U.S. citizens would benefit.
Right. At the end of the day, it's a good country,
Yep.
And I think for the immigration, okay, he's doing a good job.
Look, so that's, I will tell you, it's touchy. It's one thing to want a secure border. Obviously, I think all of us want that.
Right.
We don't want illegal, unmanaged, immigration. It's not good for the person who's undocumented. Then they're not paying taxes, so the country doesn't benefit. That person is probably running scared every day.
Right.
So that's a big fail for the U.S. government over the decades. I don't know how they let it get to be where it is.
I don't know.
But I will tell you, when I hear stories of people getting arrested that work for lawn companies, and in the middle of the workday, I say to myself, and maybe they're not a criminal, at least not beyond being undocumented.
Right.
Then I wonder, it's another failure of the U.S. Congress, not the president, to have not passed immigration legislation that would have enabled people to either correct their status or deport and have an opportunity. What we're seeing now is the result of the failure of decades of
Agreed. I mean, if you're a legal immigrant and you're working, okay, and you know what you're paying your dues, okay, make them legal. Let them go to the proper channel. Okay, they become legal. Why not?
Yeah.
They're not all criminals.
Right.
You both agree.
By any stretch. There's no stretch they're not. So yeah, it is a failure. Across the federal government.
But in terms of Israel, it's very good for Israel, right, Trump?
I mean, of course. I mean, you have to respect and thank President Trump for his strong support of Israel and its defense against the threat. Especially from Iran.
Right.
And seeing the reality for what Israeli Americans know it is, and what any people of goodwill know of what it is.
Right.
And fighting terrorism, no matter what strain of terrorism it is. It is what it is, and let's call it for what it is. And unfortunately, the only way to beat it is to eliminate the terrorists. We all want to just have a good life and enjoy Hollywood Beach and make a living, right?
Right. How was your childhood like?
Yeah. So born in Israel. Well, my family immigrated here when I was about 3 years old.
3 years old.
Yep. And so I grew up here in Hollywood. And
did you go back?
I'd always go back in the summers to visit, my grandmother and family and things. I actually did a year at Tel Aviv University.
Very nice.
During my undergrad years at University of Florida.
But you speak fluently in Hebrew. Right. Yes, right.
It's about 90%.
Well, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But it's been great, growing up here. I mean, South Florida is a great place to grow up. Especially if you like the water, and I always want people to enjoy our natural assets for what they are, and enjoy life.
You see a lot of changes since,
Look, I think we see there's been a heck of a lot of investment in South Florida.
Yeah,
a lot of international investment from all the cities up and down the coast to all the cities, and a lot of that, international migration of people, which I think makes this part of the country super special. It's not everywhere that you can walk down the street like Hollywood Boulevard and have restaurants that represent 10 different nationalities. You can have Indonesian food, Colombian, Indian, Cuban, Thai, of course, Italian and Hollywood, Middle Eastern, Mediterranean food. And that's a reflection of the people who live here because they open restaurants.
It was a very good restaurant on 46th Avenue.
Antonio's.
Yeah, Antonio.
Great family, by the way.
Yeah. Good restaurant, yeah.
So my point is that there's a lot of, obviously, great international investment here, and that's been a big boom for South Florida and kept us, I think moving forward and with additional investment, different than other parts of the country, as you know.
Right.
And also culturally just makes us a lot more vibrant.
What about parking downtown Hollywood? It's sometimes a little bit tough, right?
Yeah. So parking is definitely an issue. We only
That's
have
every city.
We only have the public right of ways that exists.
Right.
It was laid out originally.
Right.
But every new project that comes on needs to have, is required to have its parking and its contributing parking. We do have 2 parking garages on Harrison and also off of Van Buren, and also the Radius garage. We have a new garage that's going to be opening in just weeks time on Polk Street by where the train station will be.
Right.
And next door here, we're going to be building another garage, and I think we need to have 1 or 2 more.
And how does Hollywood City handle the homeless?
So
it's getting better.
Yeah, definitely better. It's definitely a plague, right? In terms of, how it impacts society and people's, mental deterioration, alcoholism, drug addiction that results in some of the chronic homeless that we all see in every city around the world. But what we did, we put together the city's first ever homeless services plan. At the heart of it is a relationship we created with the Broward Outreach Center, which is a church-run shelter that helps get people back on their feet. We also worked with, I knocked on the door of our court system, our judicial circuit, and said, Judge, when our cops, arrest somebody, they're being let go the next day, a few hours later, for these crimes, it could be petty crimes, but nonetheless it's crime. If there's no consequence, then these people are going to continue to victimize property or people, and we don't want that. So the conversation quickly turned to, why don't we in Hollywood join forces with them and have a community court, like in Fort Lauderdale and in Pompano Beach, and be able to connect these people who are, arrested for light misdemeanors to services. So right there in the courtroom at the Broward Outreach Center, every month, there's an opportunity for a judge to speak with these folks and connect them right then and there in the room with people that can provide housing, work assistance, mental health, recovery, you name it. The different services are right there. And so it's an ability to get them better as opposed to, only, potentially have them be convicted, for the criminal offense.
Right. So
So we're doing with police, a combination of police work to enforce the rules as we need them, and also connectivity to services through the courts and just through the goodwill of outreach workers that we have out there and different things to get people back into housing. And that kind of, segues our conversation a little bit, if you allow me, to affordable housing, which is a huge issue.
A big issue.
It's one thing to be homeless and the chronic that you see on the street, but there's a whole other spectrum of homeless that are people that are recently evicted and that are fallen of hard times. A lot of Americans are one paycheck away from eviction, is what we, of course, understand. So we have a little bit of a safety net in South Florida and in Broward County with different agencies and the city that are able to connect people and protect them from eviction, because it costs more for society to deal with someone after they're homeless than to help prevent the homelessness.
Right.
We also invest in affordable housing construction. Some of the buildings you see downtown, a few of them
How many
are affordable.
Not too many.
I would say in totality, about 400 units.
400 downtown Hollywood?
Yeah, the 2 buildings that are where the train station is going to be, that's
Bay Dixie.
mixed income. Yep.
Right.
There's a workforce project not far from us called the Tropic. Half of the units are going to be workforce, up to 120% of median income. People can qualify to live there at a reduced rent. And then on State Road 7, for the first time, we have people living on State Road 7. Usually, historically, only a commercial road.
Right.
Now you have apartment buildings being built there, like on Johnson Street.
That's also affordable?
Yes. Now, we purposely introduced the affordable there because we wanted to show the market that you can have multifamily on State Road 7. We don't want to only concentrate it here.
Right.
And so now you do see also market rate being built on State Road 7. And the Hard Rock has also been a catalyst for what the new State Road 7 can be.
Right.
And so we're seeing that, for the, finally happen. And we put some money behind it to make it happen.
But do you want to see more affordable, or do you want to see more condo, more rental? You want to see a little bit of everything.
It's a mix. Yeah, we're a large city, 30 square miles.
Right.
There's opportunity for every end of the spectrum. When the city was originally built by the city founder, Joe Young, 100 years ago, his vision was a city for everyone, from the highest of the social and economic ladder to the most humble of working man.
Right. So let me ask a question. Sunny Isle Beach, right?
Yeah.
Going back 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Motels, right? It's really small motels everywhere, right? One next to each other, okay? Everything right now arrives. What do you think about Hollywood Beach to put high rises?
So our
Mid-rise, you
Yeah.
know?
so that's a controversial topic.
Absolutely.
And I will tell you, we have three distinct parts of our beach.
And by the way, if I may,
Yeah.
the city will see a lot of money in taxes, right?
Oh, of course.
Big
I mean,
revenue.
that's one of the things that make the success that we were having in downtown Hollywood
Right.
important for the city.
Right,
When I was elected, the city's tax base was $13.2 billion.
right.
8 years later, today, $25.3 billion. We've almost doubled our taxable value of real estate in Hollywood.
Thank you. Good job.
Yeah. In 9 years. It's been revolutionary and critical to us for be able to have the dollars to be able to, fund the needs of the city. A lot of infrastructure needs and modernization needed.
By the way, I'm no fan of turning those small unit 2 or 3 story to high rises. I'm happy the way it is.
Right.
Because less traffic.
Right. So look, my point was we have beautiful North Beach, which is by Dania Beach Boulevard.
Right.
Quaint and small. Yeah.
Right.
And then we have Central Beach, which is the commercial center.
Right.
Which is low rise, up to 65 feet is what the rules allow.
Right.
And then south, you have, where the Diplomat is and all those high rises.
Right.
South Hollywood Beach. So we have our tower section, that part where the Diplomat is.
Right.
We have our Central Beach and we have the North Beach.
But there's no more room for high rises.
So no, the zoning is 65 feet. That's
Right.
basically it. Now, there is what's called the Live Local Act that the state of Florida passed that allows for additional height and density to provide for affordable housing, depending on where. And we have a lawsuit now with someone contending that the Live Local Act allows them to go as high as Margaritaville in Central Beach. And we read the law and say, no, it doesn't. And so we'll see where that lands in court. And so that might be, a critical issue for Hollywood Beach as to whether or not the courts decide that that's allowed.
Right.
If it is, there goes the low rise.
Wow. So you don't support, you support low rise.
I support low rise, but we are facing a situation where we have to face the economic reality that some of these small motels and some of the vacant properties along the Intracoastal are staying vacant because they're only commercial.
Right.
And the lots are so small, and you can not really build anything. You can't build new hotels on such small footprints and park them and everything else.
Numbers don't work, right?
Right. So what I've been talking about, and we haven't yet formally presented to the county, is I'd like for the Central Beach to be designated as a land use activity center, so we can have the same type of residential, low-rise, but high-quality residential that we see in North Beach come to Central Beach and help to elevate the quality of the buildings that are there.
Nothing like Sunny Isle.
No,
we don't want that.
No.
Right. I don't blame you.
Yeah. No, we have something special. I think
Right.
what Hollywood Beach, for what it is, its low-rise character is what it gives it its market position. It's what makes it special. Otherwise, we'll just be like every other part of the coast, and we'll be anonymous and lose our identity.
By the way, the best burger across the street from Margarita.
The Tub.
The best, right?
Over 50 years. They're actually celebrating 50 years a few weekends from now. So they're going to have a lot of activity and celebrate that.
Right.
Actually, past few years, the family that owns Gigi's and Tiki bought La Tub. They gave it a bath. And so keeping the concept the way it is, invested in a new seawall. We assisted them with that.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's beautiful. It's better than ever.
What about the Canadian come down in the winter? It's a love-hate relationship?
I'd say only love. Only love. Now, maybe in traffic, it's a little bit of, come on, let's go. But no, we love the Canadian visitors. They're the number one foreign direct investment country into Florida and into Broward County is Canada. Number one international route up until this, situation here with Canada, with the president going after them. So it's very important for us. Their visitorship, their investment
In Hollywood.
in Hollywood.
Right.
Historically they've loved Hollywood Beach. I think Canadians now, have discovered the rest of the world too. But nonetheless, it's still an important partner for us.
And I think Hollywood Beach is blessed by not having too many spring breakers, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, we're a family beach.
Well, family beach.
Family beach and snowbird beach.
Snowbird.
And we've never gone after the spring break crowd. And so
Why is
yeah,
that?
we're pretty irrelevant when it comes to spring break.
Was there a request for spring breaker to come to Hollywood, or they're happy in Fort Lauderdale?
I think Fort Lauderdale's been their new spot. Wherever TikTok, they talk about on TikTok to go.
Right.
So yeah, so no, they they like Fort Lauderdale, and that's okay.
So they
I don't mind spring breakers in Hollywood. You know,
not too much, though.
college kids want to come down and have a good time. It's great,
of course.
you know. Now, if people want to break laws, like we saw in Miami Beach, and
Nobody likes that. Nobody wants.
We're not going to allow for that. So we've had a lot more of a strong police presence ever since we saw what happened in Miami Beach, to make sure that if people come here, it's orderly, and we're not going to tolerate,
So it was question. Excellent, great. Hey, listen, you're doing a great job, okay? I'm very proud of you. You did tremendous for Hollywood, okay? And Hollywood is very lucky to have you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be the mayor of the city into its centennial year, and it's really great to see, you know, the initiatives bring investment, success, because that leads to people's success. In the end, it's for people. It's not for the sake of real estate. It's for the sake of giving people an opportunity to thrive.
Right. What do you think about, what are your main concerns about the world, you know, in terms of the direction the world is going right now?
You know, obviously that depends on perspective. There's war in different places, right? That's never any good. And there's obviously competition between the United States and China for, influence, and what that could mean, of course, is, communist regime there. And so there's the push and pull of different ideas and alliances. And so I think it's obviously touchy. It seems touchy, right? Even now between Pakistan and India, and what happened in Kashmir. So, let's just hope that cooler heads prevail, and that people want to obviously work together, and that the competition doesn't lead to motives that, might be aggressive or violent against other people.
Right. Who do you think is a worst enemy in the world right now?
Iran and its sponsorship of terrorism is definitely what's referred to as the head of the snake. Let's admit that, and it's shameful. Well,
very much so.
They've been doing to the detriment of all the progress that I think people in the Middle East and many countries, and the Abraham Accord countries, and the Gulf Economic Cooperation Council. I think they all want to just see success, because you see what's been done in Dubai, and what the Saudis are pursuing in investment and renewal and modernization. And then you have these extreme forces that want to take us back to the medieval times with ideology that is just not compatible with a free world, and intolerant of a free world. And so that's probably, like you said, probably the biggest threat is that. I started watching your Instagram.
Okay.
And I love it. And it's great to see someone who's been in real estate for over 30 years like yourself.
Thank you.
Post information and want to give back. Because in the end, you're through your experience, you're sharing through these posts.
Right. People ask me, what are you selling? I'm selling nothing. Yeah. Okay. I'm just giving information.
Yeah. You're sharing, honestly, the lessons you've learned.
Exactly.
To make people potentially more successful in their own investments.
Right.
And you're giving life lessons that they could otherwise never gain, besides through trial and error of their own.
Correct.
So I appreciate that from you, and I'm a fan.
Oh, I like it. Thank you for your support. Yeah. We are talking more about how to buy property, how to do due diligence, so you don't make a mistake.
Right. And I see, and over the past few years, I've seen what properties list for, and I say to myself, how do you even have the chutzpah to even ask these prices? Because it's it's not about.
Well, it's the kind of thing as imagine. Let's say you have a house, okay, and let's say a house worth just throwing $1 million, okay, and you're happy. You have a family, you're a mayor, stuff like that, okay. I'm offering right now tomorrow $1 million, 1.1, 1.2. You're not going anywhere, right? Of course not. If I give you $2 million, you're gonna go.
Yep.
It's exactly the same thing. Yep. The whole country is for sale, right? So for the right price. So sell
offer you can't refuse.
Exactly. You know what? I don't care. Throw it there, okay? Put it in the market, put it in the MLS, okay, for crazy price. Yeah. And you know what? That could be dangerous, because at the end of the day, once you close on a property, the seller is gone. What do you have to do?
Seller's gone. The property tax will readjust.
Oh, man. And
insurance,
property tax.
A real problem down here. And so, yes, there are definitely some cost pressures. I think a lot of the people who jumped into Airbnb and bought that one single family home for maybe they paid a lot of money, are now realizing that the carrying cost that they had to borrow for it, plus insurance.
What do you think about insurance? What can be done to fix it?
So that's probably one of our biggest challenges now as a city, is I'm seeing the cost of insurance also for these multifamily projects be so high that it's one of the contributing factors to people's kind of slowing down right now.
Right.
And so the state of Florida, actually, they'll be going back into session in another week. they're studying what to do with insurance. They passed a law a couple of years ago that would reduce the cost of reinsurance for the insurance companies, hoping that will trickle down into savings to the policyholder. Hasn't really happened on a grand scale yet, so I think obviously more needs to be done. More companies have come to the market, which would,
open up
standpoint, reduce some, and create competition, reduce cost, but it needs to be much stronger. So they're looking at things. It's a state level policy, and it potentially might require federal assistance too in terms of the money.
I believe so. What do you think about our governor talking about doing away altogether with the taxes?
The property taxes, right? Sounds amazing, right?
Yes, I'm told it's only residential and not for commercial.
So there's nothing, formally that's been done. There's advocacy, but the state legislature, responding to that, just had appointed state representatives and senators through a committee, the Property Tax Committee. They'll be working between now and next September, studying 5 proposals, everywhere from eliminating property taxes altogether to modifying and increasing by a very large amount the homestead exemption for residences, decreasing the amount of the percentage that property tax can increase for commercial property as well. So they're studying what could be done with property taxes, because that's one of the cost pressures in Florida. It's not good for the state. However, the problem is that when you look at your tax bill, about a third goes to your city, a third to the school district for the public schools, and a third to the county. And for our city side, that's how we pay our firemen and police and how we function as a city. It's our largest revenue source is property taxes. Right now, I want to say about $150 million a year from property taxes to the city government. We can't just lose that and still have a city government with police officers. So what they need to answer, if they want to reduce or eliminate the property taxes, how are the cities going to fund the services? So one of the things they've talked about is sales tax. And if we increase sales tax, maybe that's a revenue replacement versus the property tax. The good thing about the sales tax that I like is that 30% of it is paid by visitors who are here, visiting, contributing to our economy. So if we can shift the tax type to more sales tax where they pay 30%, then that might be good for our permanent residents, which obviously I don't oppose. But there has to be a replacement of that revenue for the cities.
Something has to give.
It just doesn't happen on its own.
What do you think about those reports that come in every now and then that people are moving out from state of Florida because it's getting too expensive?
I think it's real. I think it's real for the people at the low end of wage earning, that they can't necessarily.
So you feel Florida is losing people?
I think we are, especially out of Dade County. I read and see.
That county is crazy.
People leaving there, but some of them are going to places like the Orlando area.
Yeah, I believe the trend is central North Florida.
Yep. So that's happening. At the same time, you have even more people migrating here. But it's a problem. We don't want South Florida to turn into San Francisco. And have ridiculous pricing. And so that's why Hollywood, Broward County, we know we need 200,000 units of new construction over the next, say, 15 years just to keep up with migration coming here. And so we're pursuing policies that allow the density on the main traffic corridors of the city and the county.
So even the people that are moving out, you're still looking for 200,000?
Yes.
New housing.
Yep.
It's great.
Yep. No, look, it's a good thing for the county. We want increased economic activity. Those people come, they build businesses, they work here, and they keep the wheels turning. And it sounds like a lot of units, and is it a lot of units, but proportionally to the 2 million people who live in Broward County, we're still talking 10%. So over 20 years. So I think it's sustainable, but all of us, the county, the transportation people, we're all recognizing though that as we have more people, we want to create more walkable and sustainable sections of the county connected with more, mass transit opportunity, trains, bus services. The reality of everybody having a car to go everywhere is not ideal. That's like when you travel to places like, I don't know, say Paris or wherever, Rome, you like to go because you can walk. So, we're maturing, I think, as South Florida, creating these walkable urban centers like in downtown Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, Miami. And so, the way we'll grow up, meaning high, because there's no more out, the Everglades Ocean, is being concentrated into these centers so that you can have walkable activity. So that growth will not all need, cars.
Right,
Hopefully,
right.
one day.
What do you think about the way our governor during COVID, the way operated during COVID, where Florida was the first one to open?
Yeah. I mean, I
liked it.
I supported that because people were getting economically strangled.
Right.
Kids were getting.
I think
mentally
he handled
affected.
himself very nicely, very good.
Yeah, I think with COVID, a lot of people, some people were freaking out that it was, I could look at statistics and tell you, that they presume that maybe less people would have died,
Right.
but there's no, certainty to that. But I think Florida was right to
open.
to reopen.
As a mayor, how much power do you have, if I may? Meaning, the
Yeah.
governor is the boss, your governor is the boss?
Governor is the boss of the state. The legislature has its part.
By the way, we didn't know, up to COVID, we did not realize how much power the governor has.
Yeah.
Did you know? I did not know.
Emergency orders, right?
Right.
Is the one thing. Hey, he has executive power.
Right.
And the cities across the state have responsibility for what's called the health, safety, and welfare, the police powers, local police powers for our area of
They
responsibility.
report to you, the police?
They report to, ultimately, yes.
Ultimately.
Though
Right.
most of the cities in Florida, about 90% of them, have what's called a council manager form of government, where myself as the head of the city commission, works together with my city commissioners. We're like the little legislature for the city. And we hire and appoint a city manager who then manages all 1,500 employees.
Wow.
So while the police chief has direct report to the city manager,
Right.
the city manager reports to me
Right.
and us
Wow.
as a city commission.
So you're a 9 to 5 guy or more?
It's a lifestyle. It's 24/7 sometimes.
Do you sleep?
I sleep good. I exercise. I sleep. I try to balance it well. Look,
Right.
1,500 people, the city manager, the city commissioners, everybody's doing their part. It's not all reliant on one person.
Streamlining.
Yeah, we're well organized, as
Right.
you can expect.
Right.
But there's always things that come up at any given time, and we speak with the city manager. We speak with the public, and we do our part as elected officials to help make sure that everyone knows the good things, and sometimes, of course, the times of emergency, whether it's
But you
hurricanes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you can't please everybody, right?
No,
It's
I've learned that you can't.
It's tough. It's tough. No matter what you do.
Yeah. Look, to use a baseball analogy, sometimes you throw a pitch and some people think it's a ball, some think it's a strike, and either way, you're winning or you're losing one of them. But I think I've successfully balanced all the different interests in the city and helped to create policy that people can find is okay, is level-headed, both in managing growth. That's probably the part where people beat me up the most, is some that look at the new buildings in downtown and think we're growing too fast. But I'm steadfast in knowing that we have a responsibility to
You got to keep up with the pay. You have
keep
to.
up. Yeah,
You must. Mandatory.
because the competition is doing it.
Correct.
And
The competition is fearless.
if all we'll do is stagnate and everything just gets older and not renewed, then
No good.
then
Right.
we'll be down and out.
What about all these old condos on the beach? They're doing a good job with the restoration,
Yeah,
concrete restoration and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of our condos on the beach are abiding by the requirements by the state to have their the 40 and their 50-year certifications and investing a lot of money. Of course, we know the situation there with assessments and
course.
people on a fixed income. And traditionally, condos were maybe not on the beach, but condos were a less expensive way of living versus
Right.
your own house.
Right.
So yeah, it is squeezing a lot of people, and it's creating a lot of financial hardship. One option they have is to sell if they don't want to pay the assessments.
Right.
But there's financing opportunities. Actually, right now in the state, they passed a new bill that will help provide some relief. Actually, right now, the state had just passed, and we're going to have our state legislators coming back from session just now. We'll update everyone. But my understanding is that now buildings will be able to at least have a line of credit for their reserves and not keep it all in cash.
That's good.
So if they have a banking relationship and are able to tap a line of credit with a bank,
Right.
at least they don't have to come out of pocket and put it in a bank account to keep reserves. And so that'll, I think, help a lot. Now, it doesn't excuse them from needing to maintain their building and keep it safe. That's a separate requirement. But this line of credit opportunity is now a new thing.
Can be a big one.
I think it's going to be a big change to help people. But let's admit, condo living is different today
It's different.
in terms of the maintenance requirements and things.
Especially the older building.
Yeah,
Right.
especially the older.
Right.
Yeah.
Will you be sick in the first term?
A fourth term? Unfortunately, it's term limited to 3.
No, okay.
So I'm done. But I'll tell you, 12 years of service is good.
That's a lot of years.
It's full. and it'll be fine for someone with new energy to take the city to the next level.
Do you have somebody in mind that you can mentor?
Look, we have city commissioners who served for a while. They can run for mayor.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be someone who's necessarily in public office today. It could be someone who comes onto the scene. I served on the city's planning and zoning board for about 11 years before I was elected mayor. You don't have to be, a commissioner before you're mayor. So I think we have a lot of smart people in the city, and some of them will step up. And I'll be happy to support the candidate that I think is the best. Sometimes you have candidates who could be trouble for the city, who might want to take the city backwards or not have the skill set needed. And so sometimes you have to definitely make sure that we get the right people, because we're all invested in the city. We live here, and we want government to be effective.
And we want to keep it like that. The city of Hollywood, okay? What do you have? What kind of vision do you have for the next 10 years? Status quo or continue going?
Yeah, of course, growth is always necessary, renewal and investment, and realize the private market is what determines whether there's going to be growth.
Right.
The city can draw up beautiful master plans for different parts of the city, and want to introduce a vision that we would like property owners to buy into. But until people make the investments, those plans are just pretty master plans on paper.
Right.
So we certainly have a vision that we want the city to continue to be, thriving, to keep our beaches attractive as it could be, to grow downtown into that thriving urban center that I mentioned to you, to see investment along State Road 7 and West Hollywood that is due for investment. I have a lot of, we put together a lot of funds through agreements with the county to help invest into the older neighborhoods of the city.
That's very nice.
So we're doing a lot, but we have a long way to go. If you look at Federal Highway, Dixie Highway, and State Road 7, there's still a lot of older commercial property and mixed-use property that could deserve a lot of investment and renewal. And so one of my jobs as mayor is to push property owners to say, hey, this is what we want to see for the area. You've had this property for 40 years. Maybe this motel is no longer what the city needs. Are you willing to step in and make the investment, or maybe it's time to sell? So sometimes I push and prod, and because I want to see things move.
Right.
But as you know, every property is a personal story of the owner. Sometimes they want to hold on to it forever and not make investment. And
Correct.
so, but yeah, the vision is to have a beautiful city that continues to sustain people economically and culturally, and have a great place to raise your family.
Certainly 20 years ago, you drive down Federal and you see this old motel, prostitution, drugs, and they're outside. No more.
Yeah.
You did a good job.
No, we were definitely turning the table.
Thanks for coming.
All right. Thank you, Eyal. Great to be here.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the content, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, and share it with someone who will appreciate it. See you again in the next one.